Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me at the back? Well, friends, it's nice seeing you this afternoon, and you must have been tired at the fag end of the day hearing so many speeches. Is that right? No, I'm not going to bore you. They want me to talk on a new subject called Western medicine, which they call as modern medicine, vis-a-vis the ancient Indian system of medicine. To know the difference, you must first know the difference between human body, how it works, and how it can be mended when it goes wrong. Science is change. If it doesn't change, it's not science. Anything that doesn't change is religion. What changes is science. And the science is, today's science doesn't agree with what we all learned and you still learn in colleges. The conventional physics, chemistry, and biology. But the new physics, quantum physics, has uprooted the whole thing. And that makes it easier for you to understand the human body. Now we think in the Western medicine, in Western medical non-science, we think human body is made up of different parts. Like, you have automobile engineers, mechanical engineers with different parts. You make a car, first fix the chassis, then the body, then the engine, and things like that. That's how it is made. So that is not how the human body is made. If you understand in evolutionary biology, you are the one cell, one single nucleated cell when you're made on your mother's womb on the first day. That's called the zygote. That's the first nucleated cell. And this cell, one cell, divides and divides and divides. And today, you are a colony of 120 trillion such cells. And each one of these cells is a human being, capable of doing all that you do. So much so, you are not I, you are we. You are a colony of so many people. This difference, please remember that when you say I and that feeling, illness starts. When you have we, that feeling, wellness comes in. And this is where no human being is independent. Remember that? However big you are, however money you have, you still are dependent on others, because inside your body, for every single cell that is human, you have 10 times cells which are germ cells. Without these germ cells, you cannot survive at all. Between the mouth and the anus, you have 10 to the power 13 germs. And in the mouth, you have 3 billion germs. And if even a few germs die, you get completely disorganized and disease starts there. So germs are not our enemies, germs are our friends. In short, we are germs. For 120 trillion cells, you have 360 trillion germ cells. And we inherit from our parents, because we say, oh, you're like your father, you're like your mother, etc. The inheritance from, genetic inheritance from the parents is just 23,000 human cells in a genome. But you have the same genome, you have 2.5 trillion germ genes, metabolomes, germinomes, virinomes, and all kinds of things. And you can imagine the contribution from your parents to you is 23,000 divided by 2.5 trillion. So hardly matters. So it's not the genes that run your body as you think in the olden science. In the new biology, it is the environment that runs it. That is where it's very important to know the environment is very important for disease or disease correction or treatment. Now in the Western medicine, what we do is we have quick fixes. Supposing you have a disease, immediately we give a quick fix and we think it cures the problem. No, it doesn't. Actually, it creates another problem. In short, I always tell my students, there is no pill for every ill, but there is an ill following every pill. Did you get this? That's called adverse drug reactions. As a matter of fact, audit now shows in the West that the leading cause of death is not cancer or heart attack, but adverse drug reactions, which is called ADR. Because we know in the Western non-science, one drug for one disease under ideal circumstances, which is called evidence-based medicine. But unfortunately, in a patient, we don't give one drug. Some of the patients, if you see, it's a laundry list of drugs, about 18, 15 drugs. And there is no science to say what happens when you combine two drugs. But do you know how people are alive? A study showed that when you give one tablet to a patient and tell him to take it daily, the remembrance or the compliance is only 73%. 27% forget, they don't take correctly. Now when you make it 2 tablets a day, it falls to 42%. When you make it more than 3 tablets a day, it comes down to 22%, which means a 78% of people whom you prescribe this multiple laundry list, they don't take those medicines. If they did, they wouldn't be here. Because every single pill has, like for example, I'll give you a very small thing. Every painkiller that you take, what's called NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, can give you a heart attack up to 5 years. From the time you take the medicine, up to the next 5 years, you can get a heart attack. Somebody says, oh, he's fine, he's very healthy. Why did he get a heart attack? He must have been taking every day pain-killing drugs. If you have a headache, one pop a pill. If you have a backache, you pop a pill. And this also damages the kidney. One of the commonest causes for renal dialysis today are the NSAIDs, which damage the kidney. In short, the linear reductionist science of the West. Reductionism, I don't think for you people I should describe what is reductionism. We have to look at the human body as a whole. You can't take a bit and examine it. Like for example, somebody gets a cancer. What do? We take the biopsy of the cancer, a bit of the cancer, and then smear it on the glass slide. By then the cells are all distorted. Then stain it with the ursulin, hemoxilin, so you poison the cells. And then when they dries up, you put it under the microscope and look at it. Now the cells look horrible because they're distorted. But you can't know what that cell is. Because a normal cell and a cancer cell work alike. Remember that? I'll repeat that. A normal cell and a cancer cell work alike. And I don't know how anybody can kill a cancer cell without killing the normal cell. I'll give you an analogy. Supposing a bird comes into your house, a new bird comes into your house. To know what the bird is, where did it come from, where is it going, what's going to happen to the bird, what we do in the Western science is kill the bird, biopsy it, and then put it in the microscope and study the cells and say, this bird came from so and so. That's exactly what we do in cancer. When we say we have a cancer which we describe as metastatic, anaplastic, this, that, etc., doesn't tell you anything about the cancer. So a great biologist, Nobel laureate, Albert Szent-Györgyi wrote, I quote, I do not know what cancer is because cancer cell works like an exactly normal cell. And I don't know the distinction between the two. And I don't know how to treat a cancer cell without killing the normal cell. See, this is where we are in Western reductionist medicine. Come to Ayurveda, the mother of all medical wisdoms in the world, probably one of the oldest, along with various other systems in the East like Chinese, Tibetan, and also Tibetan of course is a part of the Indian system, but also the Egyptian system. Now all these systems started long ago when this reductionist science did not come to us from the West. Reductionist science started in 1742 with that little boy, 17-year-old mathematician in René Descartes, who said, cogito ergo sum. Because I think I am. If he had understood it a little later and a little wider, he should have said, I am thinking and that's why I am able to live. What he says is, I run this world. This is the problem with us in reductionist science. This world in the new quantum physics worldview is much bigger than what you can grasp. In short, quantum physicists say we can comprehend much more than what we can grasp. The usual conventional science is due to your 5 senses. And that is not the science because 5 senses don't tell you anything. And what you know in conventional science is 5% of this world, 5%. And 95% you don't know. But when you come to quantum physics, you seem to know the whole lot. And Ayurveda is based on quantum physics worldview, which takes into consideration the whole world and your surroundings. And this is very important to know about anybody's illness or wellness. Because unless you know that, you will not be able to consider how to treat him. Or, I wouldn't want to use the word treat, how to manage an illness. So when once the human body is afflicted with an illness, we have to find out a lot of things. The most important part of the human body is his consciousness, which is called the mind in simple English. And where is the mind? Never mind. No, the mind is not in the brain. I just want you to remember that. Most of us think the mind is in the brain. The mind is not in the brain because brain is such a small thing, it can't hold brain. Mind is a huge huge thing. Mind is called consciousness, awareness. In Sanskrit, it is called gochara. Gochara. Sanskrit is a fantastic language which gives you a comprehensive idea of the subject. Gochara could also mean the path on which the cows walk. But gochara is the awareness, consciousness. And you have your own consciousness, which is a part of the universal consciousness. And this consciousness works. In short, your human body is just mind only. So mind is not in the brain, mind is in the body. And now quantum physics says matter is energy and energy is matter. E is equal to M. And this was known to the Indian science, including Ayurveda, for thousands of years. If you know this stanza in Upanishad, it says energy. That's energy is you are energy, and the body is energy, and body is not matter. And if any matter at the subtlest and subtlest and subtlest level. And I found one day there is no matter at all. And Hans Peter Dewar writes, I call this as E is equal to M as a duality. There is no duality between the two. And when you say it's a duality, he says, I am a child in front of these Indian sages who thousands of years ago called it as Advaita. And he so beautifully says, matter is energy, energy is matter. In this stanza, and he quotes that stanza, Bahirantascha bhutanam, it's inside and outside of everything. Charam acharamevacha, energy moves, but you all look solid. There's nothing solid about you. It's only maya, it's illusion. Your body is an illusion of your mind. And he says, Sukshmavate tavijnayam. It's so subtle that nobody can see it. Nobody can see an electron. Why can't you see an electron? Electronic students, why can't you see an electron? When you say you can't see God, if you got a BSc or a MSc, then you say God doesn't exist because I can't see him. But you have not seen an electron, and you describe the electron in several ways and got Nobel Prize. You accept that, right? You can't see an electron because to see anything, to see you, a few photons must leave you and hit my retina. Then only I can see you. I become aware of your existence. But if one photon leaves an electron, it no longer becomes an electron. So nobody can see an electron. That's what it says. Sukshmavate tavijnayam. Durastam. When you don't know, you don't know. Cha, aniketa chatat. When you know, it's inside you. That's about energy. And this energy is you. And this energy is the one that when it's altered, you get disease. And when it's normal and very nicely balanced, you are healthy. Now, this is the concept of Ayurveda. Ayurveda doesn't say there is a disease, you treat it. No. It says, swasthasya swastha rakshitam. Preserve the wellness of the healthy, which is very easy, cheap, and more profitable than treating a disease. But the Western medicine is after money. And for everything, we want money, we want to collect money, and we want to make money. And make money is our now problem. Western medical, Hippocrates, who was the father of Western medicine, said, do not make money in the sick room. Remember that? Do not make money in the sick room. But today what happens? If you are ill, you go to a corporate hospital, you see, you will come out with or without a disease, but without your properties. America is feeling the pinch in a big way, and now English NHS, where free medicine is given, is in real trouble. NHS is almost collapsing. So they want Eastern medicine to come into these places. That is why Ayurveda is becoming very popular in the West. I just came back from Germany a week ago, where Germans and all the Eastern European nations, they want to have Ayurvedic hospitals in their country. So they had called this meeting to get ideas as to how to go about it. And you will be surprised, in January we have a meeting in London, and in April we have got a meeting in Brussels. So all these places there now, because money has become very, very, very... Now there is no limit for Western medicine, quick fixes. Supposing everybody wants a heart transplant to be given to a heart patient, where will you get this from money? Where the money from? Everybody wants a liver transplant for liver disease, thinking that human body is a machine like the motor car, where if the carburetor is gone, you put a new carburetor. That doesn't happen in the human body. You will be surprised to know that this one cell that I told you that you wear when you are in mother's womb, that's called the zygote, then one cell divides into 120 trillion cells. But the beauty is, it doesn't fully divide. Only a partial wall comes in the cell, and 1 becomes 2. Another partial wall comes, 2 becomes 4. Another partial wall comes into 8, 16, 32, and so on and so forth. So much so, at the end of the day, when you are 120 trillion cells inside you, you are what is called a syncytium. You are just one sheet, and all cells are connected. You would be surprised. You take a brain cell and its genome, and a heart cell and its genome, they're identical. Two cells, one in the brain, one in the heart, might have identical genome, which gives me a new idea, which I'm just having an idea. I have just put it as a hypothesis and published it, that if this happens, we don't have to get someone else's organ to transplant. We can get our own organs and transplant it to us, and those organs can grow. Like, for example, you need a small bit of the liver for liver transplant from someone else. It may be from your mother, father, husband, wife, or child, anybody. Instead of that, we probably can take a bit of the normal liver from your own part, your own body, and then transplant it to your other diseased part of the liver. I'm just saying this speculation because we are all related. These are all connected, and these are not different cells that you are 120 trillion cells. The same cell which is divided. But because of what is called cosmic, morphic resonance. Morphic resonance is a word I don't want to explain because it's a very complicated word. Morphic resonance gives you the blueprint of every molecule to an atom. So when the energy and matter interchange in the human body, they do it 1024 times a minute. This is called the Planck's 1024 times a second, Max Planck constant. And that means each time the energy becomes matter, the energy knows the blueprint of the matter. And if you teach this energy to change the blueprint to a normal body, it becomes this is called quantum healing. If you want to know more about quantum healing, one of the professors of quantum physics in Eugene in the United States has written a book called Quantum Doctor. If you read that, it's a very nice book which tells you how to cure yourself. And this is the old Ayurvedic system, because Ayurveda believes in a human body as a closed system in systems biology, because you engineers understand systems biology. Closed system is a system where everything happens on its own, like a geyser. You switch it on, water gets heated. When you don't use it, it gets cooled, and then it gets heated when you need it, and always you have hot water. But the open system is like an olden days bucket. A bucket of cold water, you want hot water for a bath, you put a heater yourself, and when the water is hot, you remove the heater. So you require an outside intervention for every mistake in the human body. That was the original thinking of Western medicine. But today in Ayurveda, and that is coming to the Western medicine also, that evolutionary biology tells us that a human system is a closed system, which when you are born, the system has got an ingrained doctor himself, which is called the immune system. So most of the time, if not all the time, this doctor cures you. But in case the doctor fails, then only symptoms come and you have to go to the artificial doctors like me. But normally, if you can keep your immune system good, and you will be absolutely fine without any outside intervention, because it's a closed system. Now, very interestingly, this concept is alien to Western medicine. Western medicine thinks it's an open system. For everything, I must interfere. No. So, Western system is bad, but you can't throw it out, lock, stock, and barrel. The water is bad, so you can't throw the baby away, because for quick fixes, emergency quick fixes, like I fall under the car, let us say, I break my bones. I can't say I'll take Ayurveda and do yoga and pranayama and get better. No, the bones will have to set. Supposing I become unconscious and I am taken to the intensive care unit, I require some intensive quick fixes. But mind you, this is only 2% of the sick population in a given day. 98% can make do with the Ayurveda like alternate systems. There are so many other systems. It's not just Ayurveda, homeopathy, Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani. Unani is a fantastic thing which started in Arab countries, and it has done a lot of progress. So all these systems are good things. So there should not be a monopoly for one system. What we should have is a judicious combination of all systems, where emergency quick fixes come from modern medicine, Western medicine, and all other things come from various other systems. And we have put together a system which is called the future medicine, or what's called meta medicine. Aristotle wrote physics first and then psychology next, and it's called metaphysics is psychology. Meta is after. So meta medicine is the future medicine. And the future medicine will have to be perforce a combination, because Western medicine alone has become prohibitively expensive, and you can't go on with that. All that I wanted to make out is that if you combine various systems of medicine and a judicious combination, authenticate everything that you do. You shouldn't be a quack. You must authenticate scientifically everything that you want to incorporate into this new system called meta medicine. I think the future is very bright for mankind on this planet. Thank you very much.